All right, so this is Chapter 2 homework. This is going to be a problem talking about how to recognize a direct cost versus an indirect cost. So for this problem, they want you to classify the cost as, again, direct or indirect. And of course, assuming that the cost object, because that's the key, tracing a cost to a cost object, in this case is going to be the juniors department at Kohl's. So we've got letters A through L. Let's go through these. So the first one says the cost is the junior department sales clerks. Because they work directly in the department, that will be a direct cost. Part B, cost of juniors clothing. So because that's in the juniors clothing department, that will be a direct cost. Remember, direct, I'll kind of make a note, is easily traced, easily or conveniently traced to the cost object, whereas the indirect cost is not. Letter C, cost of hangers used to display the clothing in the store. So because they didn't specify just the juniors department, you'll have to do some sort of allocation, so that will be an indirect cost. Letter D, electricity for the building. Again, this is for the entire building, not just for the juniors department. So again, you'd have to do some sort of allocation to allocate that cost directly to their department. So that would be called an indirect cost. Letter E, cost of radio advertising, again for the entire store, not just for the juniors department. So just like letter D, that would be an indirect cost. Letter F, juniors clothing buyers' salaries, and this is for all the juniors departments of all their stores. So because it's not just one particular store, more likely this is a corporate type of situation. You'd have to do some allocations. You would say that would be an indirect cost. Letter G, depreciation of the building. That's the entire building, not just the juniors area. So again, that would be an indirect cost. Letter H, cost of costume jewelry of the mannequins. This one is going to be a direct cost because this is only in the juniors department, so you'd say direct. Letter I, cost of bags used to package customer purchases at the main register. This is for the entire store, not just the juniors, so that's going to be some allocations. You'd say indirect. Letter J, it says the Kohl's store's manager salary. This is for the whole store, so again, indirect cost. Letter K, cost of the security. This is for the entire store, so again, indirect cost. And then finally, just the manager of only the juniors department. That's all they work in, so you would say that would be a direct cost. All right, so for this problem, you have to identify the following terms. They give you a list, and then you just have to fill in the blank. Letter A, they want you to put in conversion cost because that's how you transform direct materials into a finished good. Remember, conversion cost is also defined as direct labor plus overhead. Part B, they want you to put period cost, typically R&D, marketing, distribution of customer service cost, selling and admin. That's always going to be called a period cost. Letter C, direct material plus direct labor, that's a prime cost. Just look up the definition. Letter D, they want you to identify that all these different types of materials, because you can be traced to a specific product, a specific unit, these are going to be direct cost. Letter E, cost that can be direct directly to a cost object, again, is a direct cost. So letters D and E, they kind of seem redundant, but they do go together, but they're trying to reinforce that concept. Letter F, product costs are treated as assets first on the balance sheet. So product cost is generally kind of things like your inventory. Letter G, the allocation process results in a less precise cost figure being, you want to put assigned to the cost objects. Letter H, indirect costs cannot be traced to a cost object. I don't want to say cannot be traced. It is cannot be traced conveniently or easily. So you can always trace or allocate a cost. So don't let you think that you can't allocate costs. It's just how conveniently and easily can you do it. But they want you to put indirect. Letter I, total cost include the cost of all the resources. So you want to put total in there. Letter J, US GAAP requires companies to use only product costs for inventory. That's for external financial reports. And then letter K, company paid fringe benefits. That's all your health insurance and retirement kind of stuff. Finally, letter L, you want to put in cost of goods sold. That's from your financial accounting. You only expense your inventory when you sell it. All right, so for this problem, you're going to identify a cost as either a product or period. So to try to help you distinguish between product and period, remember if it's in the plant or let's say the factory where you're actually building the product or building the good, you'd want to say product. If it's not associated with building, you're going to say period. So let's get started. And this is going to be for Ford Motor Company, and they make automobiles. So letter A, cost of the chemical included in paint to inhibit rust. That's in the factory or the plant. So you'd say product. Part B, life insurance for the CEO. That's going to be a selling and admin. You would say period. They're not in the factory. Letter C, cost of electricity. And this is going to be at a particular plant. So that would be a product cost. Again, it's in the plant. Letter D, depreciation on the buildings. This again is in the plant. That's going to be a product cost. Letter E, cost of ad campaign. I'm going to stop right there. Advertising is going to be a period cost. Letter F, purchase of aluminum. That's a raw material. That's in the plant. That's part of the product. You'd say product cost. Letter G, salaries of Ford engineers. Again, this is going to be R&D. That's always going to be a period cost. You expense those immediately. Letter H, cost of the new software to schedule production. Because you see the word production, this is in the plant, you'd say product cost. Last one, salaries of the Ford Motor Company's top executives. Again, they're not in the plant doing the work. They're in the corporate headquarters or whatever. That's going to be a period cost. All right, so another homework problem. This is going to be calculating direct materials used and then see how that flows into your cost of goods manufactured. So on this one, they give you all the data up front. So the first thing you want to calculate to get the direct materials used is you need the beginning inventory. They give you 17,000. That's right up here. You add your purchases of 55,000, which they give you right there. That gives you your total available. And then, of course, you subtract out your beginning inventory or your ending inventory, which is right up here. That gives you direct materials used of 60,000. I'm going to label that as direct materials used. That's your first product cost. Now this is going to then flow into your cost of goods manufactured. So cost of goods manufactured, you start with beginning work in process, which is given at 22,000. I'm going to label the first product cost. There it is. It's your direct materials used. You're going to add that. There's your 60,000. The second product cost I'm going to label as your direct labor. They give you that. You add that. That's 121. That's going to be right up there. And then the third one, I'm going to label this as overhead, which is 151,000. They give you that one right there. So here's your three product cost right there. I'm going to circle that. You add that to beginning WIP. You get your total cost. You subtract out ending work in process, which they give you right there. And the final answers for your cost of goods manufactured is $333,000.